Rita Slof Montiero was an 18-year-old girl who was born on 24th July 1987. She lived with her parents Luis Montiero and Maria Slof and a brother named Victor Slof Montiero in Matosinhos, Portugal. Rita was described by her family as friendly and outgoing girl. She did well in school and had no problems making friends. After completing her school, she had planned to enroll into an arts course as she loved drawing and painting. In 2003, Rita's parents would get a divorce. Although the divorce was not a tumultuous one and both parents remained friends, it still affected Rita, and in 2004 she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. This severely affected Rita's mental health and she started to withdraw from people and became an insecure person. Due to her illness, she would often get sad and depressed. On February 17, 2006, Rita's mother dropped her off at Matosinhos market in order for her to meet up with her friends to catch a bus to Parque de Serralves for a study visit. She was dropped off at 9 a.m. at the bus stop. However, her friends had not arrived yet. She waited for her friends for a bit and then decided to go to a cafe known as Cafe International, which was located on the opposite side of the bus stop, to use the bathroom. An employee remembers talking to Rita and said that Rita was calm and excited about the school trip. While in the cafe, Rita called a friend to inquire about their estimated arrival time at the bus stop. Her friend said they were on their way. Her friends arrived at the bus stop around 9:15 a.m. and waited for Rita. Now, it is unclear at what time Rita left the cafe because the cafe employee said that Rita left the cafe soon after calling her friend. However, her friend said that she did not show up at the bus stop. A few minutes later, the bus arrived and Rita's friends boarded the bus without Rita. Due to her mental illness, Rita would often miss her classes, so her friends thought she might have changed her mind and decided not to go on the trip. A CCTV footage from a bus shows her friends at the bus stop. However, Rita was not with them. Another CCTV footage from a different bus shows Rita at the bus stop after her friends had left. She was talking to a woman and police believe she was asking for information relating to bus timings as she had missed her bus. This woman has never been identified. Another CCTV footage from a different bus shows Rita getting on the bus and asking the driver if the bus would go to Parque de Serralves. It appears the bus driver said no and she ends up getting off the bus. This would be the last time that Rita was seen alive. She did not arrive home that day. Her family contacted the school and found out that she had missed her study visit. They tried contacting her, but she did not pick up her phone and did not reply to the messages. Her parents got extremely worried and went to the police to report her missing. However, the police told them that since Rita was an adult, they had to wait 24 hours before they can report her missing. In the meantime, Rita's family and friends started their own search for the missing girl. However, no trace of her could be found. During their police investigation, police reviewed the CCTV footage and noticed a young man who seemed to be extremely nervous near the bus stop at the time Rita was talking to the unknown woman. It is unclear if the man has anything to do with her disappearance, but the police would like to question him. The man has yet to be identified. Police also found out that Rita's phone had been on until 4 p.m. on February 19th. 48 hours after she was last seen. Her phone had connected to cell phone towers on several different locations. The last location of her cell phone was in Pico, after which it turned off. Police have not been able to recover the phone. Rita left all her belongings at her home, taking only the clothes that she was wearing and an ATM card. The card has not been used ever since her disappearance. Rita's parents have criticized the police for their handling of the case. The police waited 24 hours before launching a search, even though her parents had told the police that their daughter suffered from schizophrenia and was on medication. A lawyer for the family said, An investigation into the disappearance of people suffering from mental problems must be swift and effective. The state paid no attention to health condition of the missing person. She needed special protection. A day after Rita was last seen, Rita's father asked the police to track Rita's phone while it was still on. However, the police told them they needed authorization from a judge and that at that time on Saturday the court was closed. The phone turned off on the next day. Rita's parents ended up hiring a private investigator to find any clues in their daughter's disappearance. However, nothing came out of it. Police believe that Rita may have run away or committed suicide. Rita remains missing to this day. Joana Cipriano was an 8-year-old girl living in Figueira in the Algarve region in Portugal with her mother Leonor Cipriano and her common-law husband Leandro Silva. Joana was a quiet and gentle girl. According to her neighbors, she was unnaturally mature for her age. Instead of playing with children her age, she was often seen doing household chores and running errands for her family. Her family was poor and Joana was extremely neglected. She would often cook, clean, and take care of herself as well as her 2 little brothers. On 12th September 2004, around 7:30 p.m., Joana headed out to buy milk and 2 cans of tuna. The store was about 500 meters from her home. However, she never made it back home. At around 9:30 p.m., Joana's uncle, João Cipriano, went out to look for her. On his way, he met Leandro Silva, Lenor's common-law husband. They both searched but were unable to find her. Between 10:30 p.m. and 11 p.m., Joana's mother Leonor joined the search. They went to the store and asked the store owner, and she told them that Joana had come into the store and bought milk and 2 cans of tuna. It is unclear who actually reported Joana missing, as some sources claim it was the store owner who reported Joana missing after learning that Leonor had not reported her missing, while other sources claim that Leonor and Leandro had reported her missing the following morning. A search was conducted for the missing girl. Leonor launched a campaign to find her daughter and distributed flyers throughout the neighborhood. She believed that Joana had been kidnapped. There had been a party going on in the area and there had been a lot of unknown people walking around. Police started their investigation by questioning Joana's family, friends, and neighbors. Soon a rumor started to circulate that Joana had been sold due to her family's financial issues. It was speculated that Leonor and Leandro had sold their daughter to a German couple. Leonor later regretted it and decided to report her missing, thinking that if the police were involved, the German couple would return Joana. Leonor denied it and in an interview to a national newspaper said, "I would never do this to a child of mine." A few days later, the police would arrest Leonor and her brother João for killing Joana. The police claimed that Leonor and her brother João were having incestuous sex. They claimed when Joana returned from the store, she caught them in the act. In order to hide their incestuous relationship, João killed Joana. Police reportedly found blood splatters inside the family home. They found blood on the walls, floor, a bucket, and a mop. However, a forensic test was inconclusive and they were never able to determine if the blood belonged to Joana. Leonor and her brother João were interrogated, and on September 24th, Leonor confessed to murdering her own daughter. 2 days later, João also confessed to murdering Joana. He claimed he beat her up, after which she stood quiet on the floor. He said he cut his niece's body in small pieces and placed her inside a refrigerator. One source claims that he then drove her to a pig farm and fed her remains to the pigs, while another source claims that João put her inside an old car that was taken to Spain to be crushed and burned. Reportedly, the police searched the farm and found fibers that were similar to the clothes that Joana was wearing as well as hairs that seemed to belong to Joana. However, it has never been confirmed if they belong to Joana. When the police asked Joe if he had sexually abused his niece, he reportedly said, "I did not harm her, I only killed her." 48 hours after Leonor confessed to murdering her own daughter, Leonor would retract her confession, claiming that the police had beaten her into confessing. A few days later, newspapers across Portugal showed photos of Leonor with severe bruises on her body as well as 2 black eyes. Police, however, claimed her injuries were due to her trying to kill herself by throwing herself down the stairs. Leonor accused 8 police officers of torture and intimidation. She claimed that she was forced to kneel on glass ashtrays during interrogations with her head covered by a bag before being brutally beaten in an attempt to force her to confess. In 2005, a trial would take place and Leonor and Joana Cipriano were found guilty and sentenced to 16 years in prison. This was the first time in Portugal's history that a murder trial was conducted without a body being found. 2 years later, Madeleine McCann would disappear while vacationing with her family in Praia da Luz. The 2 cases would often be compared, and people believed that the 2 cases might be connected. There had been some similarities between the 2 cases. Madeleine disappeared from an area which was only 7 miles from where Joana had disappeared. Both their mothers would campaign to find their daughters, and in both cases, police had investigated their mothers as a possible suspect in the case. The last and perhaps the most important connection was that Goncalo Amaral, the lead Portuguese detective in Madeleine's case, was also involved in Joana's case. In both cases, Amaral was scrutinized for his methods. In Joana's case, Amaral along with 5 officers were charged with several offenses. They were put on trial for assaulting Leonor during her interrogation. 3 officers were acquitted. Although Amaral was not present at the time of the beating, he was found guilty along with another officer for falsifying documents and given an 18-month sentence and 2-year suspension. He was convicted while working on the Madeleine case and was replaced with Deputy National Director of the Policia Judiciaria, Paulo Rebelo. In 2007, João retracted his confession, claiming that he was innocent and that he was beaten. In 2019, Leonor was released from prison on parole after serving 14 years in prison. She maintains her innocence to this day. Although the case has been officially solved, many question if the right people were behind bars. Joana's body has never been found. Rui Pedro was an 11-year-old boy living with his parents Filomena and Manuel Teixeira Mendoza and a younger sister Karina in Losada, Portugal. Filomena worked at a driving school owned by her father, which was opposite to her home. Rui Pedro and her sister would often stop by at her workplace. On March 4, 1998, at around 2 p.m., Rui Pedro picked up his bike and visited his mother at her workplace. He had just finished his lunch and had come to his mother to ask for her permission to go on a drive with his friend Afonso Diaz, a 22-year-old truck driver. Pedro's mother refused his request and told him to ride his bicycle in the empty lot behind her office. This would be the last time that she ever saw her son. At around 5 p.m., Pedro's tutor was waiting for his scheduled session. However, Pedro never showed up. He found it odd as Pedro had never missed his session before. He contacted his parents and told them that Pedro hadn't shown up for his session. Pedro suffered from epilepsy and needed daily medication. His parents were extremely worried that something might have happened to him and started looking for him. During their search, a neighbor found Pedro's bicycle hidden in the bushes in the empty lot behind Filomena's office. However, Pedro was nowhere to be seen. When they could not find him anywhere, they contacted the police. A massive search for the boy was immediately launched, however, to no avail. The police then decided to question Alfonso Diaz, as Pedro had asked his mother if he could see Diaz that day before he disappeared. Diaz had become friends with Filomena's family after he had graduated from her driving school. Pedro and Diaz were good friends and got along well. Even though Diaz was 22 years old, he was described as having a childish behavior. When questioned by police, Diaz denied seeing Pedro after 2 p.m. Soon, 3 friends of Pedro who were playing in the empty lot told police that while Pedro was riding his bicycle in the empty lot, Diaz arrived in his Fiat Uno and started chatting with Pedro. A few moments later, Pedro signaled to his friends that he was leaving. He then left his bicycle in the bushes in the empty lot and got inside the car. They both then drove away. Later, Diaz's brother told police that he had lent Diaz his car for mandatory periodic inspection, but Diaz never showed up with the car for the inspection and instead drove all afternoon to various places. Diaz was brought to the police station for interrogation. During his questioning, he claimed that Pedro did not enter his vehicle. He claimed that he simply drove to Pasos de Ferreira, a nearby town, and briefly parked his car outside a pharmacy in Chaves. Afterwards, he said he got out and strolled around checking out store windows. He said that he then drove to his girlfriend's house. He denied knowing Pedro's whereabouts. However, he did suggest to the police to close the borders because whoever would be with Pedro could leave the state or even the country. After his interrogation was over, Pedro's cousin, João Andre Mendoza, came into the police station and confronted Diaz about a conversation he had with him and Pedro the previous day. Diaz threatened him to shut up, but Andre went on and told the police that Diaz had invited them to meet up with a sex worker. Andre said he could not go on that day as his mother prohibited him from going outside. Despite multiple witness statements, police did not recognize the case as a kidnapping and handled it as a search and rescue case. They believed Pedro had collapsed somewhere or just wandered too far. The case would soon get media attention, and a sex worker named Alcina Diaz came forward and told police that she had seen Rui Pedro that day. She claimed that on that day, a man whom she later confirmed to be Diaz came to her in a black car with a child. Diaz asked her if she was on duty and gave her 2,000 escudo to have sex with the child, whom he claimed to be 14 years old, a legal age for consent in Portugal. Alcina told police the child got out and she took him away from the car. However, she said that she did not have sex with him as the boy was visibly distraught and started crying. Alcina spent next 15 minutes trying to calm him. She told police that the boy claimed that the man was his uncle and that he was forcing him to have sex with sex workers. She asked him if his mother knew about it. The boy said no. After 15 minutes, Alcina took the boy back to the car and saw them drive away. She later saw the boy's picture in the newspapers and contacted the police. She confirmed that the boy she met was Rui Pedro. She tried to give her testimony but could not identify Diaz by his name. As the case garnered national media attention, police received several tips about possible sightings of Pedro. Pedro's grandfather remembers one such call from a boy who had a similar voice as Pedro. The boy was crying on the phone and asking for his mother. However, the call did not last long as the phone was taken away from the boy and disconnected by someone. The police never followed that lead. They also did not follow up on a statement by a woman named Maria Fatima who worked at a fire station and claimed to have seen Rui Pedro talking to a man inside a black car around 2 p.m. on that day. This was before Pedro went to see his mother. Diaz reportedly visited Maria at the fire station and asked her if she had seen him in the car and if she knew what the car looked like. He seemed extremely worried. Maria had not seen the man driving the car, so she could not confirm if it was Diaz. Diaz confirmed he did see Rui Pedro around 2 p.m. but does not know what happened to him after that. Pedro's friends told the police that Diaz was obsessed with Pedro in the days before his disappearance. He would ask them where Pedro was and what he was doing that day. Pedro's sister also told the police that about a year ago, Diaz had taken pictures of her and Pedro, something he never did before. Despite this, the police dismissed their claims, saying that they were lying and did not follow up on them. They were not considered credible witnesses until 2011, when a new police team took over the case. A month after Pedro's disappearance, a sighting would be reported by a journalist named Nuno Rogero. He had taken several photos for the magazine Caras in Disneyland. One of the photos he captured showed a boy sitting behind a family with a man wearing a red jacket. The boy resembled Rui Pedro. The photo was seized by the police, however, no progress was made. Pedro's mother believes it was her son in the photo. On 1 September 1998, British police officers arrested members of an international child exploitation ring in London, England. The police officers seized 750,000 images and videos of 1,263 children. Amongst these illicit photos, Interpol found a few images of a boy who resembled Rui Pedro. The photo was not clear, but Pedro's parents believed that the boy in the photo was their son. Interpol, however, were not able to determine his whereabouts. They suspect that the boy was murdered by the kidnappers after being recorded. In 2011, new police team took over the case and analyzed all the evidence and witness statements. Afonso was charged with abduction of Rui Pedro. His trial began in 2011. All the witnesses, including Pedro's friends, his sister, and Alcina Diaz, gave their testimonies. But, despite this, in 2012, Diaz was acquitted due to lack of evidence. In 2014, Diaz was sentenced to 3 years in prison for facilitating the corruption of a minor as a result of forcing Rui Pedro to have sex with Alcina. He served 2 out of 3 years sentence and released in 2017. He maintains his innocence to this day. Rui Pedro's mother Filomena always claimed that the investigation into the disappearance of her son was botched from the start. The police never investigated the clues they received and never took witness statements seriously. Rui Pedro remains missing to this day.